Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
All right. Hey, this is Walter from iWalter. I'm going to get this out of the way right now. So I'm going to step away from the mic. I want to show you. I was at Coventry Mall. I was at this place called the Morgue. And it's not a morgue. It's a novelty store that some guy had put together. And it's actually really cool now. But it's on my phone. I was going to try to incorporate it later on. But I put all these stories up I've been wanting to do. I've been waiting to try to find a really good 4K camera. And I have not been able to find one. Like, I got a regular camcorder that wasn't very expensive. It was actually pretty cheap from Sony that does 4K video. And they said, oh, yeah, you can also do live streaming on your computer with it. Like, I forget what you call that. So I figured, I could do live stream of my podcast, recorded onto the software. Now, this is a 4K camera I'm trying out. And I tried my old camcorder, which I got for a few bucks because I had all this saved up credit from Best Buy. So I had bought the other one for like pennies. This one actually cost a little bit of money, and I wanted something better. Like, I don't have the money to do this, but I really wanted to kind of look a little bit better. So this is a 4K camera. Now you can see now I tried the other webcam I have, and you would only get a fraction of this picture, and the quality would look pretty bad. This actually looks bad, too. But at the same time, you're actually getting more information. It's actually a thicker wire. Both of them were Logitechs. There was a couple things I wanted to do stories on. Now, up in the corner there, because people who can see me at home, I'm actually pointing at it. It's that picture on the very top. That was actually from... I had to look at her name again. Stephanie Grace. It was very nice of her. She actually hand autographed that for me. That was very sweet of her. Now, she was playing last night, and I didn't have a chance to go to see her this time. I mean, I didn't do it deliberately, but I just didn't have... and plus, I didn't want to run all the way up there again, up to Pottstown. Here I was there today, but she was playing in Pottstown somewhere. So I felt bad, but at the same time, I can't go to everything. And she put up on her Twitter that, one of my songs had gotten on one of these streaming websites or programs. She got like a crap ton of hits. So, hey, I told her, I said, you're really good. I think she's going to go very far. I just was joking with her at the time I did see her. Just don't forget about me, because not like she knows me, but just you're going to forget about the small people who said you're going to do successful. And I think she will. I was joking about that. So anyway, I'm sorry for all that heavy breathing. I want to point this at the camera, but I got to take my headset off, obviously. So that's why I put the phone down for a minute. Let me show you this. Now, I can't hear myself, but everybody else can. And I'm checking my levels. So I'm going to bring this over to the phone. I got my hair cut today, so people at home can see this. You're not going to hear me, so I'm going to be a moment of silence, or maybe me trying to talk, and you're not going to hear me at all. So, okay. Alrighty, I got that out of the way. So that was there was something that came up, but you got the gist. It was Camp Crystal Lake. It actually looks like a wooden sign from where was that place that I went before? Blairstown. I had to look at the picture on the wall here that had my picture and Todd's picture on there. So, yeah, I got to figure out a proper place to hang it. Where I have it hanging now looks just ridiculous. But it was like, it's basically a piece of plastic, or that very thin plastic. It's like something you buy at Halloween. But since Friday the 13th was so big, there has been a big big thing for years. Everybody likes, the movies of Friday the 13th, that they, you can buy signs and stuff. I think there's just the one website or the one group of people in Blairstown. They actually make those signs, but this guy was carrying them up in Pottstown. It's like, yeah, I spent like an hour in the store. I actually had a picture of that, but just to remind myself, make sure I got the name right. And I don't see it right now, but for the place, it's in Pottstown at Coventry Mall. It's a really cool store, though. So I wanted to mention that. I'm not going to bring it over. I point at the camera, though, from far away. A Star is Born. Still in the shrink wrap, too. I never pulled it out to listen to it. Because you know what it is? I buy this stuff for collector's reasons. But otherwise, I really don't listen to anything because I got Google Play, which I really don't listen to, but I can get any brand new album anytime I want, and I don't have to go purchase it. And most people, I noticed actually, I was in Best Buy today when I was getting this new webcam, and I'll tell you, I've noticed they changed the way they set up their movies now. They have them against a wall, almost like the same way they used to have vinyl on the wall. Like, when you used to go into well, maybe you don't, but record stores back in the day, I guess they had everything lined up on the walls with new vinyl that came out. Well, they were starting to do that with Blu-rays and 4Ks at Best Buy, at least. So you know what that's kind of indicating? That eventually they're going to disappear because I think, honestly, I hate to say this, but I think Steve Jobs was right on that, correct on this, that he said eventually that, that's why he never bothered, not that they would, but they didn't see the need to have DVD players and computers anymore, because people really weren't going to be using DVD players or Blu-ray players anymore. They're going to be basically getting everything through streaming. And I think he thought about that years ago. So he was correct. I mean, I hate to say it. It's like records. That's what I wanted to say. It's like vinyl. Like when vinyl, went the same path, well, it was always there. Like they used to have those. They used to have rows of records in the middle of the store, but a lot of the new stuff was actually placed on the walls. And you see what happened to vinyl. Like, somewhat it came back, but not really like it used to be. And people still will kind of buy CDs, but that's, again, just like vinyls. It's disappearing, and it will disappear. And, again, the same thing with movies. Like, a lot of times, I buy all these movies. I'll buy them for the collector's package or whatever, the way it's packaged in a tin box or something, but honestly, it's a real waste of money. And 9 times out of 10, I throw them on a shelf in my room, or I put them in some, which you can't see on the way I have it set up now, but I have this decorative kind of trash can that it's a trash can that's like old-fashioned looking, and it's basically a seat, but I put a bag inside, and I put stuff in there. I use it as I'm trying to think when I was a kid. Not that I have grown out of that, but I use it as a toy box for DVDs. It's on the wall right in back of me. That's why I'm waving my arm for people who can see that. And it's filled with Blu-rays, DVDs, 4K movies, and they're still in the shrink wrap. 90% of that stuff's in shrink wrap. So it is kind of like a real waste. And if you want to get something, or if you really like a movie you're going to watch a couple times, just buy it on somebody else's domain or something. What do you call that? iTunes. There's a couple other ones you can buy movies and just conveniently watch them wherever you're at. You just got to have broadband, which is everywhere. Broadband is, pretty much there and anywhere and everywhere. So anyway, now this I bought. I'm holding my hand. I don't know if you can see that at home. I'm not going to get up again because I'll get too far away from the mic. It's a TV show from Britain called Nanny, and that is the complete series. This one, this yellow box, is Nanny Season 1. But the way they advertised it online, it's Region 2, by the way. I don't know if I said that. The way they mentioned the first season was, oh, yeah, this is the complete series. You can buy the whole series for this price. It was like, wow, okay, that's great. But then I find out later on, no, you don't buy the whole series. You buy the first season, and that's it. And they charged you, not a lot, but they charge you enough that they piss you off. So, okay, because I got down to the very last episode of the first season, which, quote-unquote, they said it was the whole series. And it wasn't. So I had to go back online. I was like, oh, yeah, they just released the whole series not too long ago. I was like, okay, I wish I would have known that from the get-go. Went by the first season, and it was only on for 3 seasons. I'm sorry, I'm messing up with my words. So, yeah, it kind of got me a little annoyed. It's a really good series. I really like it. Wendy Craig is the woman who plays the main character. At the same time she was doing this series for BBC, back in 81 to 83, she was also working on another television program, Wendy Craig, and it was a show called Butterflies, which I really liked. I caught it when I was still watching PBS, I believe, at that point. And I saw this TV show back in the day. I don't know if it was 81 or anything. It was somewhere around there that I watched it. Sorry, I got something on my glasses. People at home can see that. I blew it off. It was really good. It was like I caught like glimpses of it. It's like I want to see the whole thing. So that was a couple years ago. I actually bought the whole entire series of Butterflies. I was like, this is really good. And then I found out that Wendy Craig was in some horror movie for Hammer Films because, Hammer's Britain, she's British. And that was really good, too. So it was like, wow, she's an incredible actress. And she can be make sure I say this right, very versatile. Like in Butterfly, she played the not very satisfied housewife. And in The Nanny, she played a woman who had just gotten a divorce back in 1934. Now, it's funny. She's playing present time at that time in Butterflies, but then she's able to make herself look like she actually is living in the times of like 1931, 1933 by just changing the way her hair looked. And it actually worked. Like she crimped her hair so she looked like she had that 30s hairstyle. And the costumes that they wore on the actors were incredible. So, but you're going and you're doing 2 different shows in 2 different time periods at the same time. And she's actually doing a really good damn job with both of them because they were both excellent shows of what I've seen on the one so far. The Butterflies, I've seen the whole thing, so I can't say enough. I love that series. And I really like the show. It's just called Nanny. It's not called The Nanny. It's not the Nanny television program. Sorry for saying that so loud. In the U.S. with Fran Drescher. No, this is Wendy Craig. So it's much different. It's actually really good. So I can't recommend. I can't say enough about her. How's that? So, anyway, maybe I can actually, I didn't think I could do this because I didn't pull everything out. But the other day, I ordered this a while back, but GameStop, of all things, I shouldn't be doing this. I'll show you this. GameStop, you can't really see it even on the screen. Put out this thing. I bought one with money I got from working at the company I work for that I'm trying to work at a problem situation right now. They gave me for like 15 years of being there. It was my 15th anniversary. They give you, like, you can pick out a present of your choice, or you can get whatever else you want to get. So I got a gift card for Best Buy. And I bought one of these things called a Nintendo Switch, and was like, well, okay, I really don't play it that much, or I do play it too much. So I got rid of it. I sold it to a friend for like $300, I think, my friend Rich. So anyway, the Switch, though, it was like, yeah, I'm spending way too much time on this, and it's actually getting me a little frustrated. So I got to the point that I was like, okay, guess what? I'll just, for now, I probably shouldn't have it. But then they put out a Switch that was themed around this one game that I really do like, and it's called Diablo. Like last night, I spent up an hour after I wanted to go to bed just playing this game, Diablo. But everything's themed around this Diablo thing. So maybe you can see, I don't know if it shows up on the screen. Probably very blurry, though. And I don't want to, trying to do it without being quiet too long. So I'm going to try. Okay, I think it kind of showed up a little bit, but it's themed around the Diablo game, and it came like in a special package with the console. It has joysticks. They're not showing up on the screen because I have those put aside with the joystick. But you could probably barely see it as in its backwards because it's on a camera. But it says Blizzard, and the case came with it. It came with all this extra stuff, and it was themed around, and it was only by GameStop. So you had to pre-order it. Nobody else had this exclusive right, and it was for this little console thing. I was like, wow, this is actually really cool, and it's really fun. The whole thing behind the Switch from Nintendo, by the way, is that it is Nintendo's, is that how you say it, Nintendo's next game console. It's supposed to be competing against, which is kind of weird to say this, but against the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And it was like, well, they're not really on the same plateau because one is the resolution is not nearly as high, but the games actually look pretty damn good. It's like it's high definition, but it's not anywhere near 4K. The other two systems are in 4K. This one is not. So the other thing is, it basically is a glorified handheld gaming console, like the ones like you see kids had years ago. The PlayStation. Well, they weren't called PlayStation. I forget what they called those. Nintendo always had those handheld things like the Game Boy and things like that. It's much more advanced than that, but it basically is a glorified version of that kind of handheld unit console. So, but the thing is, it's got a docking bay, which I have in the background on the other side of the room. You can't see. I'm waving my arm. I don't know why. Trying to point to that direction that nobody can see. And you might be able to see blurry. It might look blurry, but on my screen are all the articles I want to kind of go through. Some of them might be actually repeated ones. Now you could see that the screen went dark, so you know what happened there. But yeah, it was like, it's a very good idea, actually, what they had. So if you start a video game and you're in the middle of it and you have to go on a trip, you have to go to work. If you have some downtime, you can bring it to work. You pull part of the unit, the one I was holding in my hand, I said, isn't that funny? I'm trying to make a joke, and it's not really good. You pull the center part out, that then becomes a handheld console as opposed to one plugged into your TV set. And you can continue to play it while you're on the road, or if you're at work and you're on break and you want to finish some part of a game out, because it'll just stop right there and it'll go into hibernation mode. If you wanted to, you just shut it down and say go to sleep mode. They don't have a shut off button. It basically, things are running in the background, but not enough to cause any serious harm or damage to anything. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull out my keyboard for those who can see it at home. It keeps on riding itself back in. So that part is like actually really cool. Very good idea. I think Nintendo always had like a little bit of more of advancement on the other consoles. The other consoles just kind of work on the same thing over and over again and kind of enhance a little bit. Nintendo tries to do something completely different every time. It's never the same thing twice. So you got to give them credit for that. Like, yeah, the physical appearance, the shell of the PlayStation from Sony and the Xbox from Microsoft, yeah, they can transform what the console looks like, because that's usually what you look for, like, or look at. It's like, okay, how much did they physically change the outside? But the interior, yeah, they make major changes to hardware, processing board, motherboard, what type of CPU, what type of GPU they're using, and things like that. But actually, it's still a console that has to be plugged into the wall. You can't take it anywhere else. Well, I believe Nintendo tries to think outside the box. It will do everything that a regular console can do, but you can just lift it out of its docking bay and you can take it with you on the road. So that's the difference. So anyway, I'm already at 20 minutes. It was a couple weeks ago, or a week or two ago. Maybe it was a couple weeks ago. I can't remember. I asked my friend Matt, and he did answer me about this. And I wanted to do a podcast about this, but then I got this in my head. I'd really like to get something a little bit more higher resolution than what I'm getting right now. And, it's okay. And the step up, I don't know. It's a broader view. It's not just a pigeonholed view. It's a little bit of a step up, but I think part of the problem is the hardware. I mean, not the hardware. I'm sorry, the software that I have on my Mac that I'm using to do these video podcasts is a big issue too. So I bought this 4K camera that is a webcam, and it's from Logitech. Because Logitech, I'm sorry, I'm itching my ear. It's itchy. That's disgusting, I know. But yeah, I like it. But yeah, I did some playbacks, and it looks kind of like right now it's fine. But I know when I play this back, it's going to be out of sync for some reason. Probably because it is a higher resolution. But you know what? You really can't put that up online because it's going to be a big file. But I'd rather start with the most quality I can get, so when it gets downgraded, it would be a little bit better than it was before, and it will be. Trust me, I hope. Well, you'll see for yourself if you watch these podcasts when I do them. So anyway, I wonder if my mouse shows up on the screen. I see something wiggling around on the camera, but okay, where I'm wiggling it right now, maybe I'll point to it right here. That right there is my messenger that's on my iPhone. It's the same messenger. So if somebody texts me, I will see it on there. So that's what I was just pointing at for those at home, the folks at home. But anyway, my friend Matt did answer me right away. I was really happy about that. That was a few weeks ago, and I never used the story. And I was trying to dig through all my stories that I saved on Facebook, and it was so far deep I had to re-look for it. And it was on the 14th Amendment. I had to ask Matt. I heard it on a talk show, and now the 14th Amendment amendment came out on July 9th, number 9, 1968. And the purpose of the 14th Amendment were people that were African Americans that came over as slaves to give them equal rights, because they were considered not being a human being or a person. So, and by the way, for those who don't know, that was, put together. I wanted to use the word conscried, but that's not the correct word. It was put together by, I believe, Abraham Lincoln, but it was put by the Republicans. And the purpose of the 14th Amendment is to give citizenship to these freed slaves who were treated like they were subhuman. They were not subhuman. So the Republicans had made the decision to give equal rights to these now free slaves from the Civil War. So, that was the reason or how it came about. Now, I'm not doing a very good job because I don't want to read all this stuff because I got a lot of stories and I'm not going to read it. I'm going to paraphrase on them. That was the purpose of the 14th Amendment. Is not because, okay, I'm an illegal immigrant and I'm going to cross the border. That was not the reason. And I'm going to have a child, and then they're going to become an American citizen automatically because I had the child in the U.S. You don't walk across a border and have a child and, you get instant, I'm trying to think, citizenship. That's not true. That wasn't the purpose of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was to give equal rights to slaves who were not treated as equals, but as, again, owned property, as subservient, whatever. So that was the purpose of that. So I'm paraphrasing it. There's different ways you can look it up, and you'll probably see it worded slightly differently. But I just want to let you know what the 14th Amendment was about. Sorry about that bottle of mine. My dad gets his cheap bottles of water, and it just basically makes a lot of noise. So anyway, I'm going to look, because I had a text I sent somebody the other day, and I want to see if I can find it. Because I didn't get a response back. I don't honestly expect to get any responses back. Okay, I hope that didn't show up on the screen, because that was pretty inappropriate. Probably not. Now people are going to look like, hey, I want to zoom in on what he's talking about. It's not appropriate. It's just me and a friend just being, jerks to each other. Yeah, we're going back and forth about the way the turnout was. There was supposed to be this big blue wave with the midterms, and I said this beforehand. I said I don't think it's going to go either way. It's not going to go too far to the with the Democrats, like where they were expecting this big blue wave, and it's not going to go too far on the right. And I was actually correct. Now, we lost because the Republicans had both the House and the Senate. Now they only basically have the most power in the Senate. Now, I was listening to a show today, by the way, and it actually said that really you want to have control of both the House and the Senate. You don't want to have like just one. You want to have both. And this is kind of like, this is going to be pretty bad because, certain things you're going to try to pass through, and once it gets to the House, might not make it to the president's desk, is what I'm guessing. And I saw, like I sent to a friend, Stephanie Grace's autograph thing, so I'm going to see if I can pull that up at least. I had some really cool pictures, by the way. I'm looking through them now from this place called the Morgue over the Coventry Mall. Really, really cool stuff. But, yeah, I took tons of pictures and sent them to a friend. He didn't really respond back, my friend Todd, so I sent it to his brother then as well on Facebook through a private text message. And his brother, Todd's brother, answered me back right away. And the guy's got, family and a lot of kids. He married a woman who had a lot of kids. So he kind of inherited a big family. They're all grown up. But I'm just saying, he inherited a big family, but yet he was nice enough to answer me back, which I really appreciate that stuff. I mean, it doesn't take that much time. So I can't find, because you know what it is? I can't kind of bring this up to the screen. So I'm trying to look for it on my phone with Stephanie Grace, because otherwise I could do a screenshot, and I really don't want to do that tonight. Maybe I'll just have to read it because I can't find it on the phone. Well, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just send it to myself. So anyway, yeah, the midterms were not quite, but you know what I heard? A friend actually sent me about this. I couldn't really pull up every thing I wanted to talk about tonight, but what I would have done, I would have. There were some parts in Pennsylvania where basically they caught people fraudulently saying there was more votes for Democrats than there really was in Pennsylvania, and they got caught in Wilkes-Barre for submitting more votes than there actually should have been. I found Stephanie's picture too, and yeah, it was a couple places in Pennsylvania, and then there was that whole shenanigans in Wilkes-Barre, in Florida as well. So, I mean, to me, that's just really pretty sad. Anyway, I'm going to take these headsets off again, and I do got the picture of Steph, so I'm going to try to put that on the screen, for my phones. Hopefully it looks okay. So I'm leaving this behind. I'm going to walk over and do this again. I don't know if people can see this. But, alrighty. Hopefully people can read that. And that's Stephanie. She's a very cute girl. Alrighty, so I did show you the picture of Stephanie Grace. That was very sweet of her. She sent that to me. I bought a couple trinkets off her for a couple bucks, and it was like, you know what? Let me buy some stuff off you. Not that much. It was like $5 or $10, for a few things. And she was so happy about that. She autographed a picture and sent it to me. She sent me actually 2 pictures. One was just her autograph, and the other one was personalized. And that was really nice of her. It was very sweet. Yeah, these articles are all out of order. So you can see me probably if you're watching the video part of this. I'm moving some stuff around. So there was something that said 670 ballots in a precinct with only 276 voters, and other tales from Georgia's primary. So here's another state. It was in Georgia that the amount of ballots they got were What is that? About 3 times. I'm trying to think. Well, no, it's about twice as many ballots as there are voters. Because what people are doing, I heard this on the news today, too, like highlights on The Blaze. I was listening to this app on my phone called The Blaze. That people were going to different locations and voting 2 or 3 times. Like they went to one place to vote, then they went to another jurisdiction and they voted there, and they do that a couple times. And it was mainly the Democrats. It was only the Democrats that were doing that. So it's kind of ridiculous. I would just wonder if this stuff was looked at more closely and found out how many people did not vote correctly, or voted more than once that was a Democrat. How much really were these votes for the Democrats, and how much would, because I'm a Republican, how much would the Conservative Party would have gotten if this is straightened out, if they would catch all the, voting more than once in other, areas, for your, the one you want in there, like the Democrat Party, whoever it was, for Congress, or maybe not Congress, because I guess the ones that got casted locally are for your, the people like your governor and stuff. But how much different would that be if they caught all the fraudulent votes? I mean, I'm sure that that it would have probably been not a blue wave, but probably more of a red wave. A lot of this stuff they're just ignoring at this point. I guess Trump and the other parts of the administration don't want to be bothered with this stuff. I do believe they're doing a recount in Florida, but if they did it in these other areas, I don't think it would be that blue wave they thought. It probably would have been a red wave. But at this point, I guess they're, you only have, I heard this on one show, you can only go back and adjust whoever won up to 40 hours. That's like, 2 days. So it was long past when they started discovering all this stuff, because there's the one in Florida that I do have an article on, but again, it's buried. I'm trying to look for that one. No, I don't have any order for this stuff, so that's pretty bad. Forbes, Philadelphia. No, you're going to have to just trust me on that. But when I come to that, you're going to hear again about where I left off with this thing, even in Florida, because I do have one on that. So some of the stories that I was digging up during the course of the last couple of weeks, now they're piling up. There's at least a dozen stories, and I'm already half an hour in, so this might be good. And again, I won't have time to read all this stuff because, if you got a dozen stories, it takes me about a minute or two to read each story. That's like 24 minutes right there, and that'll take me up to my hour. So one was it was a local news thing, not around here, thank goodness, but a man accused of raping girlfriend's 4-year-old daughter gave this little girl of 4 years old gonorrhea. So that's really disgusting, for one thing. And I hate to say it, but this guy's got a big, huge tattoo around his neck. And I don't know how to say it in a way that won't come out wrong, but the guy kind of looks like he may not be from this country originally. Can I put it that way? And his name kind of indicates that, and I'm not going to go any further. So if you want to read this, it says national news. It's on a national link. Just look for a man accused of raping girlfriend's 4-year-old daughter and gave her the 4-year-old gonorrhea. Now, I didn't know what it was, so I had to look it up, and I'm still a little bit confused about this. But, you hear about this stuff all the time where these illegal immigrants come into this country. Somehow they seem to hook up with women pretty easily. And this particular person, I don't even call him a gentleman, gave this woman's daughter of 4 years old gonorrhea because he tried to rape her, or he did rape her. So that's pretty disgusting. I don't know how else to put it, but people just see, this is the thing I don't understand, folks. I even mentioned this to my friend Matt today. You got these people who have it much better. the unemployment rate, I said wait. There is no such word as wait. Well, there is a word wait, but not the way I'm using it. The unemployment rate in our country with the folks that are legal citizens and that are, quote unquote, the minorities in our society, African American and Hispanic population and women, is at an all-time low for the last 2 years since Donald Trump has taken office. There's been multitude of tax breaks. He is working on he hasn't given up on building the wall, as he puts it. But everything is we're actually in less of a debt than we were with President Barack Obama. So everything should be looking good for everybody because there's more money in people's pockets. There's less people on unemployment, with the exception of Walter. And there's a whole bunch of good stuff going on right now. So how do people react to that? They don't want that. They don't want things to be working smoothly, which I don't understand. If things are going better for you, why do you got to make things worse again? And it was kind of obvious that this stuff that was horrible in our society was because of our last administration that was all, predominantly mostly Democrats, up to the point that we actually had taken, for the Republican side, up until the Republican Party had taken over the House and Senate. But the main part of the administration was still made up of Democrats, and things were horrible. And that changed. Now, Obama's going to say, well, it was, me, everything I worked on is finally starting to, take notice that I've, all this stuff that I worked on for 8 years had taken place, which makes no sense. You were in for 8 years and things got worse as you had taken office. It got worse, not better. And you can't blame that, Mr. Obama, Barack Obama. You can't blame that on Bush. I mean, he might have not been the most perfect person, but it was nearly not as bad as what it became over 8 years of people being on welfare, food stamps, and just pretty much opening the borders to every migrant and illegal to come in this country. Don't worry about it. We got safe havens in every state that you're protected. Don't worry about it. Just go to these sanctuary locations, sanctuary cities, and they'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. And it was a disaster area. So you go from things looking up. People are actually, the unemployment rate is actually way down. The lowest it's ever been since for the last 50 years or 40 years. And now all of a sudden you're saying it might have been longer or shorter. I don't know. Now you're saying you want to go back to that? Seriously? I just don't understand that. So anyway, a couple stories. I'll read this, at least a little bit of, the title. But this was interesting because it said Phoenixville man arrested for bomb threat at boarding home, again in Phoenixville. So I know where Phoenixville is because that's where the Colonial Theater is. That's where they shot the movie The Blob. It's an old movie theater, but they actually show some really cool stuff in there because they actually expanded the movie theater to bring in more movies and actually more of a crowd to Phoenixville, which is really cool. And they have some really cool times that they play Horror Fest and horror movies, old classic ones at the Colonial Theater, which is actually made doing that, showing old films as opposed to brand new films. Colonial Theater has been doing that for years, but now that's picked up with other movie theaters as well. But I'd have to say around here, it's not just Pennsylvania, but I'm just saying around here, I think they kind of got wind of, well, wait a minute, people are going to go pay for a movie they saw 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Yeah, because there's not many good movies out anymore, and sometimes you just want to see it on the big screen again with other folks. So anyway, bottom line is I know where Phoenixville is. Yeah, it says Phoenixville man had been arrested after threatening to blow up a boarding house in the borough, according to the Phoenixville Police Department blotters. I don't know what that means. I'm actually running out of time, too, so believe it or not. I always say this every time I leave a voicemail. I have the gift of gab, and it's so true. I really do. Does it make sense? Absolutely not, but I do have the gift of gab. This was like, these are all old stories. None of this stuff is brand new, trust me, because it's been sitting there in my pile to use it, and I never did, so now I am using it now. Woman kills 5-year-old daughter by pushing her down the stairs on Halloween, of all things, my favorite day. I asked for off on that, and if I could not get it, I would say, I told the place I'm working at, this temp agency, I said, hey, the company I'm working for right now, they get a little bit anxious about me taking off on a unofficial holiday. A lot of people do take off for Halloween because they have kids. The only kid that's in this household is the one right here, the one that I'm pointing at right now. This guy right here is the kid. That's moi. So anyway, yeah, on Halloween, this woman pushes her kid down the stairs, and it says Parksburg, PA. A woman accused of killing her 5-year-old daughter on Halloween by pushing her down the stairwell. And they have a video thing from the news, because it was obviously Philly news that covered this, because it was in Pennsylvania. So it's going to hit Philadelphia, because then it gets spurted out from there in our state. Yeah, they show the stairwell. Sounds like I'm laughing. I'm really not. I think it's disgusting again. But yeah, she pushes her little kid down the steps and kills her daughter. So that was on. This is stuff. And unfortunately, I can't go into like a lot of detail because it's actually 40 minutes in. So, and you see all the stories that you probably can't see it on the screen very well or on the monitor or the camera, but you can see my monitor, and it's a 50-inch monitor, and it's covered with stories that I want to go through. Anyway, I did pull up this for some reason, but it was about American immigration in PA. I picked this up a while ago, and it shows you the percentages of migrants, immigrants, whatever you want. Well, immigrants are legal, but then it breaks it down, I believe, because I'm trying to look how many are illegal. Okay, it says immigrants make up slightly more than 6% of Pennsylvania's residents, while another 8% of residents are native-born U.S. citizens who have at least one immigrant parent. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that, I guess. Over half of all immigrants in Pennsylvania are naturalized U.S. citizens. So I'm not quite sure what that means. I think one of the things I was digging for, okay, now it goes down and it says undocumented, because they don't call them illegals, they call them undocumented immigrants on the same web page, which I had pulled up a while ago, well, like a couple weeks ago when I was really mad about this whole thing of how many illegal immigrants are in Pennsylvania. So this story, this stat, is only in PA, not U.S. This is just in PA. 180,000 undocumented immigrants, comprised of 22% of the immigrant population and 1.4% of the total state population in 2014. 194, and it's, I don't know how you read that number, 194,647 people in Pennsylvania, including 66,576 born in the United States, lived with at least one undocumented family member between the years of 2010 and 2014. During that same period, 2% of the children in the state were, this is in Pennsylvania, by the way, this is what they're talking about, were U.S. citizens living with at least one undocumented family member, 56,141 children in total. So these stats, because I looked for the one specifically in Pennsylvania. Because I heard it on one talk show, and they said, yeah, there's like 186, 194,000 undocumented or illegal immigrants in our state alone. Undocumented immigrants comprise 2% of the state's workforce in 2014. Once again, immigrants in Pennsylvania have contributed billions of dollars in taxes. Not illegal immigrants, but immigrants. Immigrated lead households in the state paid Pennsylvania $5 billion in federal taxes and $2.1 billion in state and local taxes in 2014. Now it goes on to say that undocumented immigrants in Pennsylvania paid an estimate $134.9 million in the state and local taxes. So they are paying taxes, but obviously not nearly as much as we do. Their contribution would rise to $186.2 million if they could receive legal status. So we're losing out on taxes because these people are living and working in our state of Pennsylvania. So they're losing out on cash revenue of over $186 million just because they are not in the system at all. So this was a story again. DACA recipients in Pennsylvania paid an estimate of $22.8 million in state and local taxes in 2016. There's a reason why I pulled this at that point, and I can't remember exactly why. It says immigrant entrepreneurs in Pennsylvania generate billions of dollars in business revenue. 51,291 immigrant business owners accounted for 9.3% of the self-employed Pennsylvania residents in 2015 and generated $1.2 billion in business income. In 2015, immigrants accounted for 13.7% of the business owners in Pittsburgh, the metropolis area, or what do you call it, the metropolitan area, and 13.1% in the Philadelphia metro area. So I'm not doing a good job, but it was under American Immigration Council is the link, and it says immigrants in Pennsylvania. This was marked October 4th of 2017, so that was like a little over a year from when that was first. So it's probably even changed from there. Either way, I just wanted to make a note about that. Okay, so these stories are going to be all over the place, and I only got like 13 minutes left. But here is an interesting story. Again, I mean, these are all very off-the-wall stories, but they're all true. This one says, teen sociopath strangles mother, buries her under church fire pit after argument over a letter D grade. So a 15-year-old sociopath in Florida, maybe he voted Democrat too. I'm sure he did. No, he's only 15. He can't vote, so don't worry. Strangled his mother and buried her under the church fire pit after she questioned him about his D grade in school, authorities had mentioned. So, and they have a picture of O.J. Simpson on that same page. I just think that's kind of funny. All right, I'm gonna kind of rush this through now. Okay, here is another story. I'm glad I see this now. I'm trying not to cover up my screen that I'm looking at myself on. And I don't like looking at myself, trust me. If I could, if you look at my Facebook page, I would be wearing that burlap, what is it called? That burlap, that potato sack bag over my head that's a replica from Jason. Because I'd feel more comfortable about myself. Excuse me. I'd feel much more comfortable about myself if you didn't have to see my face. I really would. So here is from Forbes magazine online. IRS admits it encourages illegals to steal Social Security numbers for taxes. I'm losing my voice on that one. This isn't exactly the kind of story the IRS wants buzzing around tax time. The IRS and the Justice Department normally want scared straight stories just before tax day. Ideally, when the indictment or conviction for the tax invasion hits the news, it makes you think twice. Somehow you think just a bit more about those deductions, or if you really reported all the income before you sign your return, penalties of perjury. So this is a lengthy one. I'm not going to read it. I promise you. I am so tempted to. So, yeah, anyway, you got the gist from the title. Instead, we have a top dog at the IRS. The IRS commissioner himself admitting that, well, there's a problem with illegal immigrants and taxes. In fact, the top IRS official this time wasn't talking about the IRS wipes, some wipes on hard drives, or can't find emails. He wasn't even asking for a bigger budget. He was asking for a bigger budget to give bonuses to IRS employees. Oh, he wasn't even asking for a bigger budget to give bonuses to IRS employees. See, this is why I should not read stuff, but I try to. This to show people that are kind of snooping around to see how well I read stories, which they don't know I don't. So, okay, the bottom line is what I screwed up on this story was this is not about how, like Hillary did, this is not about the IRS trying to cover up her mistakes on trying to destroy hard drives or, remove emails. And it's not about giving mega bonuses to other people who don't deserve them within that jurisdiction. This is completely different this time. This time, this head person in the IRS, this big chief, he was talking about illegal immigrants and about the IRS turning a blind eye, is what's written on my screen, or maybe worse, the IRS is actually wants illegal immigrants to illegally use Social Security numbers, he suggested. Now, this is from the IRS Commissioner John Koshkin. Says made the surprising statement in a response to a question from the Senate, Dan Coates, and it says R-IND. So what's that? IND, I guess that's what it is. At the Senate Finance Committee meeting. So it goes on a little bit more. So this guy is openly admitting that, yeah, we want these illegal immigrants to take people's Social Security numbers. And it goes on. It goes on, this story. So I'm not going to read it because, like I said, I've already butchered it enough, and it probably makes not much sense at all. So there you go. And what do you have to say about that? I'd like to hear somebody's comment about that. And it's not one of these things, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, they're taking your Social Security number, and there's been times where people try to, they get, these, once the damage is done, what I understand, if they take your Social Security number, and it's an illegal immigrant, and they destroy your identity, and you get, you're getting debt, over your head that you did not make, there's no way to reverse that once the damage is done. You're basically totally screwed. So, what if that happened to you? What are you going to say? Well, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, yeah, there is nothing you can do about it. That's the bottom line. You can't do anything about it. So the only way you can do something about it is make sure this does not happen to begin with. And the good way to do that is my next story. Texas contractor wins a $145 million contract to build a border wall in Rio Grande Valley. That's how you do it. And you strengthen those borders. So this is a story I pulled up, and it was on CBSnews.com. And I'm not going to go any further because I'm actually got 7 minutes left. So there's a good story right there. It says, looks like, call-in Texas, federal authorities have awarded a $145 million contract to a Texas company to build a 6-mile wall along the U.S.-Mexican border in the Rio Grande Valley. Now, it doesn't sound like that much. It began construction of an 18-foot reinforced concrete levee wall in February, and the agency's McAllen Station region. So, you know what? You see this, and it's like, well, that wall's not going to go across the United States. Well, it doesn't need to. There's certain parts down between the border of Mexico and United States that are just too dangerous for anybody to cross. They'll end up dying if they do. What you're trying to do is reinforce the wall, quote unquote, this wall, where it is just easy just to walk across from one part of the ground to the next. That's where you want to stop people. You're not going to do it over a large, deep valley or something that's just really dangerous. If you make it across, you're welcome into our country. Not really, but I'm just saying. So I saw something about the caravans. Now, that was an interesting thing. I heard it on some news segment where they said those caravans were originally made up of like 14,000 migrants that were trying to work their way through these 3 different caravans, and that was down to 1,400. From 14,000 to 1,400 because some of them gave up because they figured, you know what, why are we wasting our time? They were encouraged to do it by someone, but they were encouraged to come to our country. Probably, I'm not going to say it, but I would like to say probably from the Democratic Party encouraged them to come here. And they actually, when they heard, they obviously probably got wind, well, Trump's going to try to he's enforcing that border. Good luck trying to get across. You might get killed or get sent back home. So it's not worth it. So bottom line is some people, like, they had an agreement in Mexico where Mexico was going to, absorb some of these people, these migrants, and allow them to settle in some places in Mexico. I can't remember where. And some of them actually settled for that. Because, again, it went from 14,000 down to 1,400. That's a big difference. So congratulations on Trump again. So here's something somebody posted on Facebook, and I these are like little things, so thank God it's not reading a full story. This is going to be over an hour, I'll tell you right now. Somebody put this up. Illegal refugees get $3,874 a month under the federal assistance program. Our Social Security checks are approximately, for an individual born in this country, they get $1,200. So if you're an illegal, God, I can't get this word out. If you're an illegal immigrant, coming into this country, you're going to get almost $4,000 a month in supplemental support. If you're a person who was born and raised in the United States, you're lucky if you get probably approximately $1,200 a month. So this was by a guy named Larry Nicholas. He posted this, just to let you know. I'm trying to see how I can read these stories kind of quickly so I won't go that far over an hour. I didn't read up on this. I did hear it on news. I'm really not familiar with this. But I guess it's been all over the news. I should know about this. It says survivor of borderline bar and grill shooting recalls last minute of victim Christina Morset's life, as she calls her super genius friend. So I think I heard about this, but where did this happen now? So I apologize. I'm not doing a very good job on this one. I heard about some shoot up. I thought it happened out in California somewhere at some bar or something like that. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was California. Yeah, so it's a shame. That's been another thing, all these, these shootings and things like that. And, you kind of question I hate to say it, but the left, every time they want to blame that it's got to be Republican and conservative to this, who had conceived this notion of going out and just shooting people, but it really, sometimes 99% of the time, it is not. I think there was like 1 or 2 times where you had like the guy sending those bombs that was, apparently, he sent one to our, ex-president Obama and some other people that were in the Democratic Party, and that guy apparently was somebody who supported Trump. But once in a while, yeah, that's going to happen. But 9 times out of 10, it's generally somebody from the left who tries to make it look like it's somebody from the right, meaning, a conservative who's just, you got to watch out for those conservative people. They're very dangerous. And generally, it's somebody from the left who conscrews this plan for this kind of stuff. I'm just saying. So anyway, there was a guy at work. He was talking about this the other day, and I try to find the story for him, and I texted to him, but he doesn't watch or look at his phone like I do on a religious basis. Like I'm looking at it every 5 minutes. He looks at it once in a blue moon. Guy I work with at my new job. So he was talking about some kid in Pennsylvania. He thought he heard the guy was laying on the ground. He thought the kid was riding his bike, but he was laying on the ground, and they tried to find out what was wrong with the kid. The kid was it was a hit and run. He ran over, and whoever hit him just took off. So I had to look this up, and it was in the Red and Eagle that I found. I think it's the same story he might have been referring to, this guy at work. And it says, Pennsylvania boy 7 found dead at school bus stop, was run over at slow speed. So I'm seeing more and more signs places I go within here, around my area. Today I was up in Pottstown, and I see more and more people putting signs on their yards and everything. Please slow down. There's no need to go so fast. They had a speed sign up in Pottstown. The speed limit was 40 miles an hour, 45, and it was one of those things that when you drive by it tells you how fast you're going. People are going 75, 72 miles an hour, because I saw it come up on the screen on this thing telling you how fast you're going, and it clearly says the speed limit's only 45. They're going 72 and up. And today I was going up 422 from Oaks, around my area, and it was a girl behind me swaying back and forth, and when she got in front of me, I was going pretty fast. I was going way over the speed limit, trust me. I shouldn't say that out loud, but I was going 60. She flew by me like I was going 25, so she was obviously going close to 100. And it was a couple times this happened. A couple times I just went really slow just to piss off, and it was, I hate to say this, it was usually females behind me because I could see my rearview mirror that there were women or young girls. I don't know why. I'm just saying what I saw. I'm not trying to make a point. I'm just trying to tell you what I saw. So anyway, it says state police say a 7-year-old found dead at a school bus stop in Huntingdon. It's got a D-O-N on the end, so it's Huntingdon County. Was not killed by a passerby motorist, but was hit by that makes no sense, but hit by a vehicle at slow speed. So how did that happen? A bus driver found a fatally injured second grader early Thursday morning. And that was on November 2nd. So this did just recently happen. And maybe this is the one he's talking about. It looks like Tyrone Area School District Superintendent Kathy Harlow said the bus driver called 911 and stayed with the 7-year-old boy until first responders arrived. State police said the search warrant was obtained for a vehicle that was in the area at the time, and that the driver of the vehicle has been interviewed. Counseling is being provided for the students and staff at Tyrone Elementary High School. Elementary high school. That makes a lot of sense. Elementary school, I apologize. So I don't understand. How could you be going at slow speed and run over a kid? It makes no sense at all to me. And then they got the other story of that girl who wasn't paying attention. She ran over 3 kids and killed all 3 of them. This is really just out of hand with people. But the other one, they said, I don't understand. You ran over a kid who was waiting at the bus stop, a second grader, not a 2-year-old, but a second grader, and a 7-year-old boy, and they have to kind of justify, well, He did get killed, but he got killed by somebody driving too slow. That makes no sense. The kid was at the bus stop. Usually the bus stops are at a stop sign on the street corner on the lawn, not in the middle of the street. So how did he get hit and killed unless the person was going excessively fast? I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask that question. So I was looking for the story. My dad was telling me somewhere, I guess it was Conshohocken or something like that around here. There was a mysterious car fire at a car dealership. So it sounds kind of funny, a car fire at a car dealership. So my dad said, yeah, there's something a little bit fishy about that. So I was trying to look for that story, but what I did find, and I'm not making this up, and this was a story that did pop up, and this is a little bit old too. It's of this year, but it's a little bit about a month or two back. And this story was from the Norristown Patch. That's my area. Conshohocken woman charged with homicide by her car, by a vehicle. Country woman faces homicide by vehicle charges after she struck and killed an elderly man in the crosswalk in January, police said. A name I can't pronounce again. She was 31 years old, was driving down Fayette Street, whatever. I've heard of it. I just can't pronounce it. Around 6:52 a.m. on January 31st, when the victim, Bruce Collins, 80, was crossing the street. Collins, who was walking with his friend, Robert Lindsay, were in the marked crosswalk near 4th Avenue when this woman struck Collins in her Toyota Camry. I'm sure she was driving really slow, too, and that's how she killed him. I don't mean to be an asshole about this, but I just can't help it. I just see these stories, and you almost want to laugh, but they're not funny. So, and I am over an hour. I'm like way over an hour by 6 minutes. So to me, that's a long time. Oh, yeah, this is funny. There's this list of TV shows that will possibly can't be canceled. So one guy at my new job was telling me about, like, we both like, both of us, me and this other guy, we love horror movies. We love TV shows. Like, every TV show I like, he likes. Every movie I like, he likes, because they're horror movies. So I got into a discussion about shows over the years I liked, and one of them was this show called Charmed, which is also, it's derived from, or it's based, or was influenced, like the idea for the movie, or the TV show Charmed, was based upon that movie from years ago called The Craft. They have nothing to do with each other, but somebody got the idea, well, you know what, let's make a TV show out of 3 witches, because that's what The Craft was about. The premise of the show and the movie are completely different, though. One were a bunch of high school students. The other one was a bunch of, fully grown women that weren't quite married yet, but they were in their, 20s and 30s. So early 30s. And it was a really good show. I mean, I loved the movie The Craft, and I loved the TV show of Charmed. So I hope I said that. The Craft was the movie, and Charmed was the TV show. So somebody decided to reboot it, but they had to make it politically correct. They have 2 Latina girls that are the sisters, and a third sister that was half African-American and half Latina because mom had an affair with somebody else or was previously married and had a child that the other 2 sisters didn't know about. Now, that was interesting, but the show... it was $19 for the whole season 1, on iTunes. It was like, for $19, I'll get it, because I would have bought it either way, probably, knowing me. I'm a big fan of that show, and if it was going to be rebooted, I want to be there to watch it. It was horrible. It was really bad. And the main premise of the pilot, I'm not joking, you had a girl that looks like she was 12 years old, and she's in college. She looked like she was 12. You have that's the Latina girl, the younger one. She looks like she was 12 years old. I don't know how old she was, but she did not appear anywhere near 18 or 16. But yet she's in college on advanced classes. She has a sister who's learning to be, not like a professor, but somebody who is going to graduate school, so she's teaching classes. And her sister is a lesbian. And then the other girl is like some type of a step below a rocket scientist, but some high, the half African-American Latina girl was, she was like some highbrow scientist, working for some company that, or something like that. So, okay, that's fine. You want to be like, make these women incredibly smart. I have no problem with that. Well, here's the thing, though. These women were like one step below or one step above, but right next to wearing the pink hat and saying that we are supporters of Antifa and we are supporters of women's lib, and we hate, because they did specify this clearly by spelling it out and showing it, they hated white males. That was the premise. So I was like, wow, maybe I'm like misunderstanding this. So what did I do? I went on to iTunes and I decided to read people's what do you call it? Their opinion about this new show, because you think, well, women are going to love this because it's against white males who are holding them back and everything. There was one after another comments on the comment page for the new Charmed, and about, I would say, 95% of the women couldn't stand it. They thought it was disgusting. They thought the acting was horrible. They thought the scripts were just garbage. Quote unquote, they put garbage. And it was all women who were putting this. They said this is an insult. And they said the whole thing of men being, what do you call it? Sexual predators, because they incorporated it into the show. They thought it was ridiculous. And it was like, you know what? I cheer on these women who said this. I'm running out of water and I'm going to start coughing. I know it. So I have to applaud the women who said this. And I thought it was just me because I try to keep an open mind. But when I saw that, I told you I would do that. It was like, great. So I'm not the only one seeing this. This show as being like ridiculous. So one step better, I read it somewhere. Shannon Doherty, is that how you say her name? Shannon Doherty was pissed off at this new show. In fact, her and the other women, or at least one of the other women from the show, were so pissed off. And Shannon Doherty was like, she was lipped. She said, this show is garbage. You need to go back and redo this show. It's horrible. That's what everybody, female-wise, who watched the show, they said, this is not like the original Charmed. This is awful. This is like, this reboot needs a reboot because it's just garbage. Again, that's what I read on these things. And then I read something that Shannon Doherty was pissed off. So the reviews are so bad on this show. Thank God there is some brains out there with people of all types that this show will be canceled by the end of the year if it makes it that far. So it's on the chopping block of getting rid of it, this reboot of Charmed. So thank you so much for having intelligent people out there. I'm not going to just say women, or I'm not going to say just men or anything else. I'm just going to say we have intelligent people out there. So speaking about that, because I'm probably missing it right now, and I don't really care. It's almost over. I'm afraid to do it again, so I'm going to wait until later tonight. Maybe I'll stay up late and or go to bed and get up at 5 in the morning and watch, the new Doctor Who, because I like her. I like her a lot. No, I like Jodie Whittaker as the new Doctor Who. I think she's great. I think she's doing a great job. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, because this is my next story up right now. Jodie Whittaker reminds me of where they should have, like, picked up after Colin Baker. Like, they got Sylvester McCoy back in 86 or something like that. I can't remember. And he was awful. I'm sorry. I try to like the guy. I'm sure he's a great actor, Sylvester McCoy, but he was, to me, I just did not like him. I thought he was awful. And he's like Scottish or something. I think Jodie Whittaker might be Scottish because she's got like a really strong kind of accent of some sort, which is kind of really toned down for Doctor Who. But she plays the character just like the other actors did from day one, not the new ones, but from day one. They are incorporating a little bit of the new show in there too. But if they would have placed Jodie Whittaker right after they got rid of Colin Baker, which I actually did like, I just didn't like the storylines, she would have been beautiful back then. Because Jodie Whittaker is doing Doctor Who. She's doing Doctor Who justice the way Doctor Who should have gotten it. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Christopher Eccleston. I thought David Tennant did a really good job, but he had some really bad scripts. Matt Smith was okay. And Peter Capaldi is an excellent actor. Don't get me wrong. Did I miss anybody in that mix? But Peter Capaldi as Doctor Who was god-awful. I'm sorry. I like Peter Capaldi. He's played on other shows, TV shows, that he brings these characters to life. He played like some type of misanthrope. An office guy who was like a misanthrope. He hated everybody. He just basically lashed out on everyone. And that show that he was on, I can't remember the name of it, did very successful for many years. They actually made a movie out of his character, him playing the same character, but for a movie, because it was so good, this TV show. I have it somewhere in my room. I've never watched it yet. I bought it pretty cheap. The series was on for quite a few years, but it's only like 10 episodes or 13 episodes a season, so it did not cost that much, trust me. I got it like a year ago, and I haven't watched it yet. But a friend showed it to me, and it was like, wow, this is really funny. It's not for kids, by the way. It's very adulterated, what Peter Capaldi did. Then he gets offered a part of Doctor Who. Obviously, when he played this other character on this Office show, that had to be more than like 3 or 4 years ago, because he wasn't Doctor Who yet. He was Doctor Who for 3 years. He gets the part of Doctor Who, and he does such an awful job with it. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying he's a great man as far as an actor. He just was not meant to be Doctor Who. Jodie Whittaker has played many different parts, but she does the part justice. I don't care what people say. I don't care that she's a woman. I really don't care. She plays Doctor Who as it's meant to be played. So anyway, I'm looking at this one article, and there was tons of articles, but they say Doctor Who rating dropped to 6.1 million viewers for the latest episode after series high of 8.2 million. And they were referring to her first episode, but then also as Capaldi, that since Capaldi had a drop in people watching the show, but it's actually dropped even more. So there's like people dropping off like flies who won't watch Doctor Who. Now, my thing is, they're trying to blame it on her. This is the same thing that happened to Colin Baker. They better not get rid of her. That's what I'm trying to say. Because she's really good. It's not her. It's the way the scripts are written. Like the one from last Sunday. It's Sunday now, but last Sunday they did a Doctor Who that was so bad, the episode. It was trying so hard to be politically correct in every aspect of the word. And I'm not including Jodie Whittaker in this, but they were trying to make it so politically correct where the man, this guy, the men are having the babies. And in fact, they go one step further. Men it was an alien race where they looked human, but they were supposed to be not human. Oh, well. Now, you can see that for once. My screen just went dark, so everybody saw that at home because I'm just talking too long. So, but men have the male babies. Women have the female babies. That's like far in the future. It's like, how ridiculous can you get? If that wasn't enough, that really pissed off so many people. I've pissed off a lot of people. So if that was not enough, folks, they go one step further. They have this alien that looks like some type of cartoonish, let's make this into a toy monster. It was a little, like, cute, lovable looking monster that was what it does is it eats ships. It literally eats the metal on a ship, and it digests like the engines. It's a little figure that's no more than like 3 foot tall. Was poorly CG'd. It looked like something that you would expect probably from like 2005 when Doctor Who first came back and they had some silly monsters on there that were more to like appeal to young kids. Well, they did that again, but those CG monsters from 2005 were like the size of a normal human. This thing was no bigger than a medium-sized dog, but it looked like a little furry, not furry, it was not furry, but it looked like one of these stuffed animals that you would buy off a toy store shelf, but it wasn't a stuffed animal. It was a poorly CG'd monster that was cute looking, and it was eating a ship and it was eating engines. So I felt bad for Jodie Whittaker because you don't see this stuff until it's actually done. She's probably, because you're acting to nothing there, obviously, because it's CG. And I'm sure if she saw it, I don't know, but I'm sure she would have probably been upset too. Because she's really done a good job with the crap they've been handing her. And that was mainly the very first episode I did not like, and the very last one from last week. Not this week because I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, people really got pissed off. That's what I'm trying to say. It was just so bad. And now they're talking about, well, they should cancel the show again. It's like, I hope not, because she's doing an excellent job. But it's like, you got to stop with the nonsense of the political correctness, and you got to stop walking on eggshells. You're going to do something, do it right. Don't try to screw with people's heads, because people obviously aren't that stupid. The media might think you're stupid. They might treat you like you're a dunce, but it's not true. Because when you piss off certain people that are diehard fans of Charmed and diehard fans of Doctor Who, which include me on both, don't screw with us. And you do, and look what happens. So, I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to see what I have. It's like, yeah, it's 20 minutes literally after the hour, so that's really bad. Real quick, New York Post, but this did not come from New York. And this is one of the stories I was looking for way about an hour and change ago. It's titled, Florida Teacher Finds Provisional Ballot Box in Storage Area. And guess what it's filled with? These boxes are filled with, in Florida, votes for the Democrat Party. Or, for Florida. Again, since I'm already 20 minutes in, I'm not going to read this story because I'm actually 20 minutes over now. But I'm just letting you know, there was a school teacher found hidden. They were supposed to be put into, what do you call it? Like, I'm looking here. It looks like it says Republican Governor Rick Scott led Democratic incumbent, is that how you say it? Incumbent Bill Nelson by just 17,000 votes, or about 2% for the Senate seat on Thursday. Well, now they're all in an uproar. It was like the margin was so slim on who won. It was 2%. Not even 2%. I apologize. 0.2%. So that's very slim. Sounds like a lot of votes, but it really wasn't. So now all of a sudden they found all these votes laying in ballot boxes in Florida, which would have changed the outcome. But you know what? This has happened before, and now the people from the Democratic Party are trying to say, "Oh, well, the Republicans hit all these votes." No, you're the one who had stashed these away and were going to put these in with the other votes. And then all of a sudden, they got lost, and somebody found them accidentally. And those votes were illegal votes, basically. Not illegal as far as these votes came from another country. I don't mean that. I'm just saying these votes shouldn't have been looked at all. They were actually going to be snuck in and placed in these ballots after, secretly, and they never got it there, as my guess. I don't know. That's what I'm gathering. Maybe that's why, Walter, you should read the stories. I'm 20 minutes after. I'm 25 minutes after now. So I'm just letting you know. So one of the things that was a joke that Rush Limbaugh was talking about all week was the story stories going on about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's 85 and she broke a couple ribs. And he was saying that some of these idiots from one being, of all people, Melissa Milano. She was actually one of the Charmed girls. Was willing to give, like, I think he said both her, something ridiculous. You can't do, like, both her kidneys or something like that over the Ruth Gainer Ginsburg, if that would save her life. And it was her ribs that broke, not her kidneys. But the point is, it's like Rush was saying she's going to give 2 organs. It's a set of 2. I forget. Maybe it is the kidneys. I don't remember. She was going to give both of them to Ruth Gainer Ginsburg to help her in her getting so badly hurt. And Rush was saying, well, you can't live with, you need at least 1. You can't live with 0. And that's just, the point is, this is how stupid some of these, like, fascist, and I do want to use the word feminazi, these women and these males, or whatever you want to call them, on the left, who don't really know what they're talking about. Of course, I don't either, but are saying the most, craziest stuff that just makes no sense. Like, I'm going to give you my heart if it helps Ruth Gainer live. That's basically kind of like she said. Yeah, I'm going to give you something that I'll just give you my stomach. I mean, are you really that dumb? Apparently she is. Melissa Milano. And I used to love her, but she's an idiot. So anyway, the reason I had to put this in the mix, even though it's almost going to be 2 hours when I'm done, probably not, but it would probably be close, is that they're making a movie now, and I'm really afraid about this. They're going to make a movie about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, about her life. I'm not joking. I saw this. I went and seen A Star Is Born, and they're showing previews for the Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie. It's like, are you kidding me? I really want to see a movie about this clown? I'm sorry. I sound like an awful person, I know. Probably because I am. Okay, so the time is really over. And there was some story. I saw it on Facebook, too. And I'm just going to read the title. And it says, authorities are currently seeking, searching of this man who broke a dog's neck because of Wi-Fi. Authorities are currently searching for this man who broke it. Again, is saying the same thing. And again, they're saying the same thing 3 times in a row. This man, a 25-year-old man, is being looked by the police in Des Moines, Idaho, I think. You mean for me to forget it? Matter will be laughing already. I don't need to go any further. So the bottom line, it was in Idaho, and the authorities want to try to catch this guy in connection with the death of a pup who was murdered over an argument about Wi-Fi. So he got mad. Now, usually you throw things. Well, instead he broke a dog's neck, a puppy's neck. That's the way you fix things, by the way. If something doesn't work for you, just like snap the dog's neck. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, by the way, the ongoing story, I think I did ask this about my friend Matt. I asked Matt, and there's all these jokes going around about Cortez. I forget how you say her name properly. That woman, Cortez, she's 29 years old. She's now on a Senate seat. And I asked my friend Matt, I said, I heard this a while back that she was going to be running for something like that. And the jokes about her are funny. She's kind of cute, but she's like really nuts. And now she has been elected for a Senate seat. And I asked a friend, I said, yeah, I heard that this was a while back. I didn't word it this way, so Matt's going to hear this and say, no, you didn't say that, Walter. No, I didn't. But I'm just saying, I heard on like Rush Limbaugh, Ken Matthews or something, that Cortez was going to be running for this, running for some type of political position. And Matt told me she can't. She's too young. She's not old enough to do so. And this was a while back. And I heard this, and I thought I heard that correctly. And here she is. She's got this Cortez girl from, was it Brooklyn, New York? She did get a seat on the Senate. And the thing is, it's a joke. Like, she's not very bright. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know. I'm just hearing she's not very smart. Like, she thinks that they need to give free education for the people in the electoral college. Electoral college is not a real college. It's just it's a phrase. The electoral college, well, it is a thing, but it's not a university. How's that? So somehow she's so smart by the people who voted for her. Apparently she thinks the electoral college is a real university. So, but hey, whoever voted for her, good luck. I mean, my prayers go with you. And there's some other stuff she said it's really dumb, apparently. So I'm just paraphrasing. And not doing a very good job at that. So anyway, three more things, but two more stories, but just reading again, just a highlight of the caption. CBN News, it's called The Christian Perspective. I saw this and it was on my Facebook. I don't know if I told you this, folks, but I did add somebody who asked me on Facebook that is trying to find support for like Jews in and what is that, Israel? You know, this guy like reached out to me and says, yeah, I'm trying to get a support group together on Facebook to show, support for the Israel and everything like that. And I'm not doing a very good job, but I'm like, again, anything over an hour, I just get like really off my focus goes off. And it was like, could you add me? And I was like, yeah, I definitely will. I'll support. I'm a Christian, but the amount of rebuttal that the Jews are getting, the Jewish people, which is a religion, I understand that, and it's not really what do you call it? Being Jewish is more about I believe the religious. It's on your belief on your religion more so than saying, oh, well, I'm Italian, you're Italian, or you're Hispanic, or you're African American. Yeah, you're called Jewish, but I don't think it's necessarily more. It's not about being a certain ethnic background. It's more so about your religious, what you practice as your religion. I believe that's the way it goes. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. I do have a picture up of this place called the Morgue. It is called the Morgue in what do you call it? In the Coventry Mall. It's very cool. I'm not going to point that at the camera again. I'm not going to even try to put a snapshot in. I thought I was, but it's just too much of an effort. It's too much of an effort at this point. It's way too long. It's way over my bedtime. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, I just went off track completely. So going back to this story about this web link called CBN News, which is actually CBN for Christian News. That's the actual link that I have. It had this story about state tells Christian filmmakers make same-sex marriage films or spend 90 days in jail. And that was just this last month this was posted. So not that maybe it's been a couple weeks since I did a story. It says, must see 24/7 news from Christian perspective right on your TV. 2 Christian filmmakers appeared before the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Paul Tuesday to challenge the Minnesota state law, which they say illegally forces them to produce and create films expressing messages that contradict their core belief. So, yeah, it's another lengthy story, which Walter is not going to read because of the time. So, hey, more power to you, and I hope you folks win that case, which I doubt you will, but I will. My heart goes out to you, and hopefully God is looking upon you on that one, that you are forced because you are a Christian to make movies that you don't want to make that go against your religious belief because you're Christian. Now, I'm sure if their religious beliefs were something else and they said, hell no, it would be not a problem. Let's face it. So anyway, I got this story. I wish I did read it, actually. And I did try to read it the other day, and I didn't do a very good job even reading it to myself. But it's from Movie Web News, and it says, is the Evil Dead reboot a sequel? Directors give definitive answers. So, remember there was a couple years ago, I think it was 2013, yeah, it was. They made the reboot of, yes, I'm going a different direction, I understand that. It's not about politics this time. They did the reboot of Evil Dead, and they put a female into the character that Ash played. And you know what? I love that movie. I think I've seen that movie at least a dozen times. I'm not even joking. When it came out on disc, Blu-ray, I was right there to buy it, and probably like 50 times. 50 times, because I really liked it. You know, the girl who played Ash's character, I thought she was incredible. You know, very, very cool. And I was like, okay, when is the sequel going to come out? It never did. Like, I was really counting the days, like, when are they going to make the sequel? When are they going to make the sequel? When are they going to make the sequel? They never did. And in fact, it got canned. And then instead, they were going to say, oh, we're going to do another movie with Bruce Campbell as Ash, and then kind of like cross-thread the universes that Ash and the new Ash, who is a female this time, would cross paths. And that never happened. And then instead, they didn't do that, and they decided to make Ash versus the Evil Dead, which was okay. It wasn't great. It did have Lucy Lawless in there. It was kind of cool, but it wasn't great. It wasn't as good as the Evil Dead movie that they had reimagined. Was not done by Sam Raimi, but it was a really excellent, in my opinion. I loved it. I thought it was a great reboot for the movie. I liked the old Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. I can't say anything about Army of Darkness. And I thought that the reboot was incredible. I loved it. I mean, I'm not even joking. I'm not just trying to say that to win brownie points on the left. I don't really care. I just love that movie. And I was so, looking forward to seeing another one with this girl who played, the new character of Ash. She actually even cut off her own hand and put on the chainsaw. She gave the lines just like Ash did. It was great. It was even more violent than the original 2, and that's saying a lot. And she did a great job. And then the whole thing just kind of disappeared. And it was like, I'd actually rather see her than I would rather see Bruce Campbell. Not that I did not like Bruce Campbell, but he's getting up there in age. So when they went back and they did, okay, we're just not going to do any of these movies anymore. We're just going to make a TV series out of it. It was all right. It wasn't great, and it was not the reboot, meaning that it wasn't as good as the reboot was. And it was just like, okay, how much are going to milk this cow before it's going to be dry? Those udders are going to be dry on that freaking cow. And I'm talking about the Evil Dead TV series, because that was just like milking that whole genre. And don't get me wrong, because the guy behind it, you don't hear his name. I can't remember off the top of my head, who was in the umbrella of Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, and also Xena and Hercules. There was a guy, you don't see his name on everything. You only see Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, but you never hear about this other guy, and I can't remember his name, so I even forgot about it. He's like the shadow in the background, and he was responsible for all this stuff except the reboot. But again, he did these other TV shows, and they were very successful. He did these movies, very successful, and I'm not talking about the Evil Dead series either. He did do that. He was the man that is kind of like, I don't want to say a ghostwriter, but he's the guy responsible behind the curtain, not the Iron Curtain, but behind the curtain. I can't remember his name. Really good, makes a lot of good stuff. Another kind of producer, director, whatever, that you only hear Sam Raimi's name, you don't hear the other guy. So, where was I going to go with this? But, they kind of they were milking something that's been successful for a very long time, meaning the Evil Dead series. I mean, it was something that was a fluke. It was something just to get their feet in the door to make other films. And it made the person, I forget his name. I can't remember it on the off the top of my head. It's already like an hour and 40 minutes now. Him, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Ted Raimi, because Ted Raimi acted in all these different storylines. These gentlemen became very successful because of Evil Dead. And then they just tried to milk it to death. Just recently with the Evil Dead reboot. Of not the movie, but the TV series. Not even a reboot. Let me redirect what I just said, or take back what I said, and say they made, instead of a movie out of it, they made a 2 or 3 year series out of the character of Ash and called it Ash versus the Evil Dead. It was okay, but I would be pushing more towards awful. And I'm not saying that because I love Lucy Lawless. After I saw her in Xena, I didn't like her before because I didn't know who she was, and I would admit to that. And also because I really liked, for years, at least in Evil Dead, was Bruce Campbell. And Ted Raimi did play in this stuff too, by the way. So, but they milked it so badly. The reboot was just a refreshing, what I just said, a reboot. It was a refreshing reboot. It was perfect. They should have went that direction. They wouldn't have killed or slaughtered, no puns intended, this series that, lasted way beyond what it should have. The shelf life, it lasted way beyond its shelf life. And it was rather successful. But then they had to destroy it. And by the way, real quick, because I'm going to let it go at this, and I'll call it a night. I was in Best Buy today because that's how I got this new webcam and stuff. Same place I got my other webcam. And what do I see that they re-released for the 100th time? And I'm kind of exaggerating, but not by that much. A 4K version of Evil Dead. How many times can you release the movie Evil Dead from the original one? Like, they released it so many times, and they just re-released it again on 4K. This is Walter from iWalter, and yes, I am signing off for now. Have a good one.